Haven't done one of these in a second, but it's Saturday. It's 1 o'clock Pacific time. It's 3 o'clock Central time. Is that right? Mountain time. It's 3 o'clock, I think.
2 o'clock Mountain.
2 o'clock Mountain. I can't keep track of all the time zones, and I hop back and forth from different time zones myself. So I'm actually in Nashville right now, and just want to thank all of you for now tuning in. You know, like I said, it's been a minute. I think that's the longest. It's 10 p.m. in Germany. Danke for watching. Yeah, I don't know. Just it's summer. There's stuff going on. I've got 2 kids that are getting old, and they're had all these different activities going on that I've helped them with, and so I've just been kind of hopping around and getting kind of busy with stuff. Obviously, still making all my normal content, but the live streams, been doing them for like 10 years, barely took a break ever, and I wouldn't even call this thing a break because I had so many things going on, so it's not like I was like, oh, I need to take a break. It's just I had a bunch of stuff going on. But I talked about it earlier, and we're just about to launch a new way to do the live stream, so I think what I'm probably going to do is maybe like the first Saturday of every month do one of these public live streams like I'm doing right now. And then the other 3 Saturdays are going to be over at martymusic.com. So almost like the opposite of what my Patreon was. But the cool thing about doing live streams on martymusic.com is they're going to be in higher def and horizontal, just like, so you can see the guitar better and all that. Also, it's going to be a much smaller amount of people, but that's going to be like a quality over quantity thing. And I'm going to pick different topics to talk about as as the weeks go by, and also let that community decide what topics they want to cover. But then the other coolest thing about the martymusic.com community that's going to roll out is, one, you can do it from an app, and two, if you have a question or a topic on guitar that you want me to answer or talk to you about, you'll actually be able to come in on the video. And you don't have to, but you can actually chime in video with your guitar and play, and then I can, give you feedback on that. So that's coming really soon. Matt, what do you think? Like a week away or something?
Yeah, we're just testing it with the Patreon people.
Yeah, so we switched all the Patreon people over to that new model, so we'll probably do a couple of test streams just for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
next weekend we'll try it.
Next weekend we'll try that. So that's coming out. But anyway, appreciate you guys, your continued support so much. The world's so boring, nothing's happening.
Yeah. Just guitar.
Just guitar, man. No. Let's see. So I've got, if you check the link that's pinned, depending on where you're watching it right now, there's a pinned link, and we've got a sale going through Monday. We, meaning Marty at Marty Music. But Matt's over here helping. Matt.
What's up?
See, there he is. Matt's helping. Contractually, he's obliged. Obligated, actually. Not
handshake.
Obliged. Handshake deal. Haven't gone back on the handshake though.
Never did. Man of your word.
Yeah, man of my word. But we've got a sale going on. Hey, 10 a.m. Kona, Hawaii. Dale Mount said that. I love Kona, Hawaii. I haven't been back in a few years. I need to go. Are you there all the time, Dale? I used to go once a year or twice a year and stay in Kona. Just haven't done it for a minute. Been a little busy. Full time. All right, Dale. I'm coming out there. Let's see. So yeah, check out that sale. But really, if you were to check out anything in that sale, basically, are there 2 different sales?
Well, if you're intermediate, you can. There's a tasting zone. If you're beginner,
But is it 2 different things?
2 different things.
Yeah. Basically, though, every lead guitar related lesson that I've ever made is on sale.
Mm-hmm.
So check the link. Anything about lead guitar that you've ever wanted to know is on sale until Monday, and it's a very, very good bargain. It's much cheaper than even 1 half-hour private guitar lesson, and whatever you choose, you're going to get over 20 hours of instruction there. So I think you should check that out. Vexed asked if I'd ever been to Ireland. I've never been to Ireland. I've been to Europe a handful of times. Never made it to Ireland, though. Let me know in the comments where in Ireland I should go, what I should do. I haven't been. I don't have any Europe plans at the moment, but I would love to go, especially go see Ireland. Let's see. Also, we've got September 9th, or that September 9th, 10th, 11th, or is it 9th through 12th?
Mm-hmm.
September 9th through 12th, I'm doing the Marty Music Mountain Retreat. Marty Music Mountain Retreat. And it's in the Catskills of New York. And it's, if you were to look up Marty Music Mountain Retreat, you're going to see a fully stacked roster of special guests, teachers, performers. It's pretty, like, if you took me away from it and had everyone else in there, even though it's called Marty Music Rap Mountain Retreat, Fedora included, but if you took me out of it and just gave the list of all the people involved without me, I would want to go to it. I would buy a ticket to go see it. But the cool thing is it's actually my own event, so I have to be there. But like I said, I would actually buy a ticket for it. Marty Music Mountain Retreat. Eric Gales is like the most insane blues rock guitar player alive. Is going to do a performance masterclass. My good friend and another one of the best blues rock guitar players, Jared James Nichols, is going to perform, and he's going to do a masterclass. And a huge shout out, congratulations to Jared James Nichols and his wife Amanda. They just had a little baby tank boy named Jet, which is funny because you guys don't know this, but I've written 2 screenplays in the last year, and one of the screenplays is about music influencers, and one of the characters is based on Jared James Nichols. And the funny thing about it is it's not really, they're inspired by, none of it's true, it's all fiction, but one of the characters that I was inspired by Jared James Nichols, I named the character Jet Dalton, and then he named his son Jet, but I didn't know he was naming his son Jet. Don't you think that's weird?
It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I've written 2 screenplays, you guys. And the first one that I finished is called Clout Wars, and it's about music influencers, and it's a lot of like true experiences I've had, but fictionalized. None of it's true, not a true story, but inspired by a lot of true stuff. And I'm proud to say, so I was a film major for the first 2 years of college, and kind of music took over my life. But I am proud to say that my first screenplay that I spent many months working on, rewriting, revising, and it still could, I mean, they're never done. I could still try and make it better, I think. But I'm proud to say it actually got nominated for a Screenwriters Award, which took me by surprise, but I was very honored. So there's no way for you guys to read it yet, and I'm just talking about some of the little extra things I've been doing in my life to just enhance what's going on in my life and just add new kind of creative outlets for me. Okay, let me talk about a lead guitar.
Yeah, Steven says he doesn't know if he's intermediate or beginner.
You don't know if you're intermediate or beginner
for lead
guitar. I don't know if you are either. I don't know if I am either. But what I would say is if you can fluidly play the minor pentatonic scale, if you can do that, and you've got, let's say, 5 or 6 licks, so if you, let's say you can play the scale, you just play that, even if it's just the one position. Some crackling feedback on the mic. Not sure about that. I mean, it's just going straight. There is no mic. It's just going straight into my phone. So you just have to bear with me. It could just be your signal. Yes, here too. Well, I'm not using a mic. What do you think? I don't know. Check the mic. It's me too. How about, Matt? How about just unplug it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching the comments.
And then, yeah, unplug it. You guys can let me know if it gets better. So if you can play, and if it's still crackling, then I have no idea what it is. Although we should probably take the Wi-Fi
Yeah,
off.
I thought that was off already. There we go.
But crackling, I don't know what crackling means. Anyway, we'll go with the unplug for a second.
Oh, somebody said better.
Huh. But do you think it was the Wi-Fi, or do you think it was the unplugged?
Ooh. I'm gonna try it.
Damn it. We've tried two different things.
Let me plug it back in.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Better. Everybody's saying it's better.
if you can play the minor pentatonic scale, and then let's say you know 5 or 6 basic licks, like here's a couple of basic licks. So that's one basic lick. Another basic lick that I like would be. So those weren't too hard. So like 5 or 6 basic licks in the main shape of the minor pentatonic. I'd say you're pretty much past beginner. You know, beginner's gonna really hold your hand, walking you through, introducing you to that pentatonic scale, introducing you to a dozen or so or 20 or so easy basic licks. And whereas intermediate is going to assume that you can already walk your way around the pentatonic scale a little bit. There's more than the pentatonic scale, and then, but basically, if you could like jam in an open blues jam, not be good, or you could come up at one of my Gibson guitar events, which August 6th, is that the next one?
Mm-hmm.
So August 6th, I'm doing one of my back to basic events at the Gibson Garage in Nashville, Tennessee, and people can come up and play with me in a band. But if you feel like you could kind of get through, you don't have to be amazing, but you could play a 12-bar blues with someone and play a couple of licks and know the main shape of the scale, I would say you're past beginner. But if you're like, wow, I can't even do that, I don't know what a scale is, I've learned some like riffs, I've learned some songs, but I have no idea how to solo or anything like that, I don't know what to do, then I would say you're more of a beginner. Okay, Matt, let's plug the monitor back in for me.
Yeah.
And you guys, I'm going to plug this monitor so I can see your comments. If you start to hear about crackling feedback again, let me know in the comments. We will deal with it as it comes. Here it comes. Oh, it just went off. What is that? Oh, there it goes. No, it just went off.
Maybe it is the cable.
We're already dealing with bad cables here.
Yeah, it is kind of just over there.
The thing I've gotten the most out of lead guitar, like the one thing besides knowing the beginner minor pentatonic, is that extended scale. But you got to learn the main shape of the pentatonic first. Once you learn that, you learn this little extended scale. And so you don't run out of room going just across this way. You have a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of this. And you're also covering way more ground. And you only use your index and third finger for it. So that's just with one device. That's the most valuable thing you can work on to get better at lead guitar as fast as possible. So that's the number one thing, and that would be taught in, I mean, that is in the beginner level course, but I really dive into it in the non-beginner stuff. Whatever you see in there, like probably be lead guitar phase 2 and phase 3, and then all the Tasty Zone stuff covers the stuff that goes beyond the pentatonic scale, like the major pentatonic, what I call the the voodoo blues, not the Bluetooth blues, the voodoo blues scale, which sounds like this. I'll just show you some of the scales over that groove. Here's the major pentatonic over that. So that's the major pentatonic. The blue, I want to say blues, but it's voodoo blues scale, uses a substitution note like this. That's the voodoo blues scale. Now then, another thing in the Tasty Zone, which is on sale down there, the Tasty Zone also covers the BB box, which sounds like this. Then, another thing in the Tasty Zone specifically is the mixing the major and minor pentatonic, which works especially well over chord changes. So like the 1 chord, you can play the major pentatonic, the 4 chord, you play the minor pentatonic of the original root, and that adds a whole nother contrast. So if I loop a little thing here where I have the 1 chord to the 4 chord, you'll hear I'll mix the major and minor over that. So here's the 1 chord. Here comes the 4. So there's the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord there. I'll play the major over the 1 chord, then I'll play B minor pentatonic over the 4 chord, and then on the 5 chord I can do either. So here's the major over the 1. Minor. Major again over the 1. And over the So there you have that. Different topics. So voodoo blues scale, major, minor, mixing, BB box. The very first jam I did, which was Scarlet Begonias by the Grateful Dead. Anybody? That is another part, which is the Mixolydian mode, but it is a scale, Mixolydian, which is a big part of the Grateful Dead sound, but it's this scale. You know where you are? You're in the tasty zone, baby. You're gonna jam in the zone. Welcome to the tasty zone. You're my jam. Yes. That's my dad, my goofy dad vibes coming out. So that's all in the tasty zone. So if you've already just found the minor pentatonic, beginner, I'm gonna keep going in and out, man. Can you just like try and jam it in there, or use some tape, some of that tape to just kind of stick that sucker in there?
Stick it in.
Why don't you cry, GNR? You mean don't cry? Oh, don't you cry? Don't you cry? Don't you cry tonight? Yeah. Okay, so we'll just see, Matt. Sorry, the monitor keeps going out on me. Always technical crap, you know. Can never get it. Just can never get it totally right. What's my favorite GNR? Well, it's definitely Appetite for Destruction. I also like the drums more on Appetite for Destruction. And it would have to be Mr. Brownstone, I think. Is probably my favorite. So that's my answer. Harper Cretion, www. I don't want to encourage you. But you will get blocked if you do that again. Oh, never mind. You just did. You got a little timeout there. A little timeout. That's also why I'm going to do the more intimate live streams through martymusic.com community, because it's just people that really want to learn. Calvin Productions.
Nice, bro.
I guess you're the same person, but you're getting a timeout. You know? Speaking of dad vibes, I'm going to sit you on the stairs. You're going to have to sit there. Think about what you've done. www. Okay. So, something that really helps me out, supports me, and my family, but also supports Matt and his family, is when you buy one of those courses. They're great. Went out again. That's right. Don't worry about it. It's just frustrating. I guess we can order another one of those cables.
Yep.
But yes, when you buy one of the courses, it's going to help you get better at guitar. It's super affordable. And it also keeps Marty Music going. So those are all definitely things that are great ways to keep this all going, and we're all continue to have a good time. Learn guitar, get better at guitar. Vexed Emperor 558. Well, I'm going to do a free live stream here, right here at Marty Music. We'll start with just one a month, the first Saturday of every month. I'll do one here, totally free. So you're not going to miss out on it. But the Marty Music community, it's just going to be like my Patreon. So there's going to be an entry-level tier that's going to be very cheap. If you just want the live streams, do we know what that's going to be?
Yeah. Just the live stream is $10.
Okay, so $10 a month. You will get 3 live streams that only you guys can get. So it's going to be a much smaller audience. And so if you have questions you want to ask or things you want to learn, it'll be like I'm here in a little mini like group lesson with you. And you can chime in your own video with me, and it'll be horizontal. And I'll also add some bonus material. Make sure you get all my free PDFs. We're going to have a community going, where I'm going to be not just doing the live streams, but also communicating with you. Carl Whitehead. Okay, bye-bye then. Okay, bye. Do you see how sad I am? I look pretty sad about it. He really has power over me, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. I guess 30 other thousand people will watch instead. I don't even know if that's what he was trying to say. Okay, so... Sir, I opened my band. Its name is Anti-Scary. Is bass easy to learn? I would say the bass is easier to initially learn, but any instrument to master has its own. Mastering anything kind of takes the same amount of dedication and hard work. But if you just wanted to have fun and play in a band and learn something real quick and easy, I would say bass is easier than guitar or piano. So that, yeah, and if that guy was also leaving me because I'm charging $10 for guitar lessons, I really don't want that person as a supporter anyway. If they're thinking $10 is somehow me ripping them off to give all this free content, 5,000 videos on YouTube, and a free live stream as we talk right now, if somehow $10 a month is offensive to them, I don't want their support. So, bye-bye. Bye-bye. I mean, I couldn't tell you how much I don't want your support, whoever the guy that said that. To think that for 17 years I've mostly, 99% of the stuff I've done has been completely free content on YouTube to learn guitar. And I have people like Grace Bowers who literally learn guitar from watching those free videos for free. And Greta Van Fleet, watching my videos for free as little kids and learning to play guitar and then being inspired to go work hard on their own and become, musicians. Everything I've done is free. But I needed to support a family like anyone else. I can't just do free all the time, because how do I, where do I sleep, where do I eat, where do I put when I sign over the check to pay for my daughter's college tuition, should they not charge me too? Should I be offended when my daughter's college says, hey, here's the bill? Should I say, bye-bye, she should just go to your classes for free because I'm offended that you're going to charge that much for my daughter to go to college? I'm just having fun. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, well, here's what it was. It's just a mutual respect thing, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do all my free stuff, but I'm going to do special in-depth live streams for $10 a month. You can say, wow, that's, I get it. I can't afford $10 a month, so I'm going to have to bow out, but that sounds really good. But to act like somehow I owe you with the oh, we'll see you then. That's just so ridiculous and disrespectful. Not that the internet has anything to do with mutual respect. Clearly it doesn't, and it's only getting more toxic out there. But, I'm not doing anything inappropriate. It's completely, within my right. And all I do is free stuff. I mean, like I said, there's 5,000 free videos on my YouTube channel. Free. 5,000. You could literally learn guitar and become a professional musician completely for free, which no other time in our society would that be expected. To just go, like, I couldn't just go find somebody and say, teach me guitar, I want to learn guitar, but for free. And if you charge me $10, which I used to pay, $60 for to take guitar lessons. So if you're saying $10 is, like somehow you're rude back to me for asking for $10, then that's just ridiculous. Okay. Snickers really satisfies. Brandon, Don Chicky shout out. Let me hear you. We're about to go wild tonight. Ozzy Osbourne. He was so awesome. He was such a great singer. He was such a great singer. And there was this weird thing, because I'm Gen X, so I remember when quote unquote heavy metal and like 80s hard rock and even like, a bunch of these bands came out in the mid 80s, late 80s, and they played real heavy and raunchy, and they had big hair and leather and glam and all that stuff. And most of the singers were atrocious. And when you hear Ozzy, he's like a truly great singer, melodic, a great tone in his voice, great lyrics, obviously amazingly charismatic, amazing frontman, super wild. The weird thing is, because he's called the Prince of Darkness, and then when the Osbourne show came out, he was clearly had a real sweet personality to him, loving father, obviously his own issues and mental health, drug issues, all that stuff, but you could tell he's a really loving guy. you know, loved his family, loved his kids, loved his wife, loved his little dogs. He loved burritos. There's one episode where he,
Oh, yeah.
he talks about burritos the whole time. Uh, he was just one of a kind guy. I loved him. You know, never met him or anything like that. I just loved him like so many other people. But there's a little thing that's interesting about Ozzy and the fact that he's one of the inventors of heavy metal, I guess you could say. But what's really interesting about Ozzy, his singing, and a lot of his biggest songs were actually in major keys. So, like, the beginning of Crazy Train, that's minor. You know, that's minor. But when he goes to very interesting the fact that heavy metal you'd think minor and dark, and they, you know, like, is it? That's called a flat fifth, that interval. It was the devil's interval. So he did have dark stuff. But like some of his biggest songs, Mama, I'm coming home. Major key again. Also, what I was just playing here. That melody, that is along a major arpeggio. So I just always like to point that out, that as a guy who was the Prince of Darkness and heavy metal, one of the inventors of heavy metal, if you want to say that, a lot of his biggest hits were actually major scales with pretty major melodies. And it's because, I mean, it's not because of anything. It's just interesting. It's that same dichotomy, right? That he bit a head off a bat, but also was this loving father on his reality show. I don't know if you guys saw the bat that you can bite the head off of, that stuffed animal thing that I have. We have that somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see.
Yeah.
It's back here.
Great time to bring that out, I guess. The bat thing was baloney. Well, I mean, the story was that someone threw a bat on stage. I mean, that's definitely the chicken head thing, but someone threw a bat head on stage, and he thought it was a rubber bat, and so he just went and bit the head off. Oh, sweet! I can do it right here. But you can go. You can bite the head off of this bat. It says Ozzy Osbourne on it. I own this for a few years now. This is one of those pieces of merch where I was like, that's the greatest branded merch I may have ever seen. A bat that you can bite the head off for Ozzy Osbourne. But no, he was this super wild guy. He was, you know, super messed up on drugs and alcohol. Just say no. Children, don't do drugs. But, you know, he was a party animal. He was a rock star party animal. He did a lot of drugs. He drank a lot of alcohol. He was partying his ass off. So it probably is a little more understandable where he was just kind of messed up pretty bad on chemicals, and someone threw a bat up there, and he ripped the head off because he was just out of his mind, you know. And he also knew that sensationalism and like shocking people, that I mean, it was kind of part of his personality, but that stuff, like that shock, you know, that would market you and give you a lot of attention. And so he did that, you know. And I'm not saying it was good or bad. Yes, he snorted ants off a popsicle stick. I actually really enjoyed the Motley Crue movie on Netflix, The Dirt, and Tony Cavallero is this actor who I know a little bit, and he was on Righteous Gemstones as Keith, but he plays Ozzy really well in the Dirt movie. Although he does kind of, I mean, I think he was just doing the best he could, but he sounds a little Australian in it. Like, you know, he's trying to like do an Aussie accent, and it sounded a little Australian, I think. But anyway, that story, which The Dirt is originally the Motley Crue book, and they lived the craziest music band life of all time. But basically, Motley Crue was younger than Ozzy. Ozzy was the craziest one, and so they were trying to out-shock each other, you know, like like Ozzy licked up his own pee, I think. Not to get too graphic or whatever, but you know, and they were doing drugs, and they were just basically trying to out-shock each other. And they were by the pool of a hotel with a bunch of children and families there, shocked out of their mind. And they were just trying to like out-shock each other, and there was a popsicle stick on the ground that ants were crawling up all over, and he just like grabbed the popsicle stick and just snorted the ants off the popsicle stick, just to, you know, shock the guys. You know, they were crazy, wild dudes trying to out-shock each other. Yeah, Motley was opening for Ozzy. Ozzy was like the biggest thing in hard rock at the time, and so Motley Crue got the gig opening for Ozzy, and they were trying to like live up to Ozzy's reputation. Ozzy was trying to live up to his own reputation, showing off to Motley Crue, and they were trying to out-crazy each other. But anyway, here's my Ozzy Osbourne plushy bat with Velcro removable head that you can bite off. Bitten the head off this thing many times because it's fun, it's great, I love it. And now Ozzy is no longer with us, but his music will live on, his spirit will live on. And Black Sabbath is one of the greatest rock bands ever as well. So my little tribute there was actually, you know, more Tony Iommi tribute because I can't sing, so, you know, no one can really sing like Ozzy anyway. But anyway, I played some of those riffs, some of that music. And yeah, I mean, for how hard he partied, the fact that he lived as long as he did, you know, he outlasted a lot of people. And it's pretty impressive, actually. All right, some shout outs, and then I'm going to get out of here. Ted Beeve, Joby, Yashiro, Isana, Tinge Amlo, Tyler McDaniel, Mr. Crowley. I have to learn that one. Mr. Crowley. Na, 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 na. It's a great song. I like another major. Flying high again. Flying high again. That's major as well. Major key. Talking Head songs. I could. I don't know if I feel like I've done all the big ones already. AB, yo Marty, yo AB. John Cash, thank you. Eric Kofi, in St. Tropez, awesome. Never been there. Kevin Hemsley, are you playing anywhere in Nashville this week? Well, I'm going to. What's the place I'm going to tonight?
I'm gonna look it up.
I am actually going somewhere tonight. I'm only going to play on like a song or two with my friend Davidas. It's
Garage Sale Vintage.
Garage
Nashville.
Tonight in Nashville at Garage Sale Vintage.
Downtown.
Although I looked up, it wasn't like on Broadway.
No. It's a bar and thrift store.
A bar and thrift store, vintage.
Garage sale vintage.
Okay, garage sale vintage in downtown Nashville. Garage sale vintage. At around 8 o'clock, I will be there to go see my another.
It's not downtown at all.
It's not. I didn't think it was.
Actually, it's down the street from you.
Yeah, it's only like a mile from where I am. But anyway, it's all downtown to Davidas. He's from Lithuania. So I had mentioned way in the beginning of my live stream that I wrote a screenplay. I've written 2 screenplays in the last like 8 months, and it was just for myself. I'm not trying to get them made, but I made a screenplay that's got nominated for some screenplay awards, and it's called Clout Wars. And I was saying how one of the characters is inspired by Jared James Nichols, but one of the other characters is inspired by Davidas, and that character's name is Rock Vasilev from Lithuania, just like Davidas is. But once again, the screenplay is completely fiction, but with inspiration. True stories are inspired in it. And so one character is inspired by Davidas. Another character is inspired by Jared James Nichols, and I named the character Jet, which is so funny because then Jared named his new baby Jet without me knowing. I didn't know that he was going to name his son the character that I named Jared James Nichols after in my own screenplay, Clout Wars. Yep. And I don't know if anyone ever read it or see it or anything will happen with it, but it's talking about it makes it more real, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know? And also got nominated for a Los Angeles International Screenwriters Award. It's in the semifinals, which I was very proud of because I'd never written a full screenplay. I did a lot of creative writing growing up, but sitting down and writing an entire screenplay all the way without giving up and writing the whole thing out and rewriting it. I probably rewrote it 6 times, you know, like trying to make it better and tightening it and everything. So the fact that I still did all that, I'm proud of that. And that is
semis is 2 people then?
No, it's just the top 10% of the thousands of scripts.
Nice.
So thousands, I mean, it could have been 10,000 different screenplays were submitted, and the top 10% made it into the first. There were the quarterfinals, then there was the semifinals, and then there was the finals. They haven't announced the finals, but I made it all the way to the semifinals, top 10%. First screenplay I ever wrote, and yeah, feels really good. It just because it was for myself. I didn't do it to try and make a movie get made. I did it for my own creative outlet that's not practicing guitar and not watching a movie. You know, I just felt like putting creative energy into something, and so I did that. And then that inspired me to write a second screenplay, which is an action comedy. And I'm on my 5th draft of that one, and that's called Rock Hard, which is a triple meaning. And Rock Hard's a lot more fun. Clout Wars is a personal story that's totally fiction, but based on a lot of my real experiences in the music influencer world. So it's a script about music influencers. It opens at the NAMM show. It has a bunch of inspired by true things in it, and it's personal. It's not a comedy. I mean, it's got satire. It's got some comedy, but it's more of a drama with some real, based on real things that have happened in my world and have happened to me and all that stuff. So I did that, got it done, and so then I went to this next one called Rock Hard.
Echo Flames got it.
What?
Echo Flame 4-1.
Oh, yeah, triple meaning. So I'll explain Rock Hard real quick, and you know, maybe sometime in a live stream I'll read a little part of it. It might be fun. It might be I might feel too vulnerable, even though it's meant. I mean, if it made it into a movie, then it's super vulnerable. But Rock Hard Oh, the triple meaning though is Die Hard, because I grew up on the '80s and '90s action movies. Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Beverly Hills Cop, Terminator, Commando, Rambo, all these great, super entertaining, over the top, cheesy action movies that I grew up as a kid. I took that inspiration of what I loved like as a kid going to the movies, and I made my own kind of satire spoof of Die Hard. That's why it's called Rock Hard, and then it's also rock and roll. So Rock Hard is Die Hard. It's basically Die Hard meets Spinal Tap. So a big concert gets taken over by mercenaries. A big concert event gets taken over by mercenaries, and the roadie for the band is the John McClane character. So the roadie saves the day and fights back using all of his music gear and music knowledge. And so, like, if you think of Rambo with his like Commando Rambo knife, my character, whose name's Straps McGee, he uses a Leatherman multi-purpose tool as his like main weapon. He uses fog and pyro and the brown sound on the back of an amp with a guitar string tripwire, and use it and road cases and lasers and all this stuff. He uses all his music equipment and music knowledge as a roadie to save the day. But the other twist in Rock Hard is that my main character Straps, he was a late '80s like heavy metal star, like during that Ozzy era and Motley Crue era. He was in a band where he was the bass player in this really famous kind of glam, over the top metal band, super charismatic guy. And the villain in the story is the manager of that old band in the '80s, where he actually rigs their bus to crash and collects the insurance money, and then the bus crashes, and my main character's best friend is the drummer. The drummer dies, the lead singer dies. He messes his hand up so bad that he can never play bass ever again. And so then it cuts to 1995, and now he's a roadie because he didn't want to, because the only thing he ever knew was music, and he wanted to still be near rock music and stuff. So he becomes a roadie, but he's kind of like now down and out, and he's a roadie for the biggest grunge band now. And so he kind of resents that all the hard rock went away and now it's grunge music. It takes place in 1995. So I also use kind of like in 1985 when you watch Back to the Future, and in 1955 they're joking about all the things that will be coming in 1985. My movie takes place in 1995, and which is obviously 30 years ago from now. And so there's jokes about like the internet's coming, CDs will never die, grunge is never gonna die, like all these kind of humors. Yeah, I'm spoiling the whole movie right now, but that's okay. So check it out. I'm gonna spoil the best. I mean, really, what inspired it is the movie opens with him in his heyday in the '80s rock band, and they have the harnesses like in the Van Halen Jump video where they're flying on the stage in the harnesses. So the movie opens with 1986, the harnesses, all that the main characters plop down on their harnesses, right? And that's a little tease for the finale of the movie, where when you see him as a roadie and he's kind of down and out, you can see like in the background of his like road case that the harness is still there, kind of like a piece of his past. And so at the very end of the movie, and then he has a niece that's in the audience that's a hostage that he has to rescue. That's why he's inspired to fight back, and because he has to rescue his niece. But so at the very end of the movie, the villain is taking off in the helicopter, and he uses mic cables like Roger Daltrey. He spins them, and he lassos the skis of the helicopter and ties the mic cables to a railing, and so the helicopter's stuck right above the top part of the stage. And so he climbs up like Eddie Vedder, climbs up the scaffolding and he jumps into the helicopter to save his niece, and you don't see it, but he jumps out of the helicopter, and he's got the old harness on from the opening of the movie, and so he jumps out of the helicopter with her, and you think that he's jumping out, but then the harness catches and saves him. And I think it sounds pretty entertaining.
We should get Aaron Paulson in the movie.
Is he here?
He just joined.
Aaron Paulson, what's up, dude? I'll say one other thing that's in it, and if this makes it into a movie, you'll know that they copied it from me. The manager is the main villain, but then he has like a, you know, like in Star Wars, you got the Emperor and Darth Vader, or like Emperor and Darth Maul. You know, you got the thug that like is the muscle. So my guy's like the Hans Gruber, but he's an old music manager, and then he has this mercenary that he hires that's like a militia guy that like uses all his militia to like take over the venue, right? But so I imply earlier he's got a scar on his head, and someone like hits him over the head with a chair, and it makes like a metal gong sound. And don't get me wrong, this is like this is a comedy, action comedy. I'm thinking like Danny McBride. That's who I was inspired by as the roadie. Like in that Tenacious D video, I'm thinking super silly, but with some good comedy. So the villain, the mercenary villain, you know, he gets bonked on the head, it makes a metal sound, and he kind of knocks on his head. So like the classic like military guy that had a head injury and has a metal plate in his head, which is a real thing. So in the final fight, my main character has his Leatherman multi-purpose tool, and he opens up the can opener from the Leatherman and starts to pry the metal plate off the guy's forehead, which I've never seen in anything ever, and it made me laugh really hard. Like I said, it's a comedy. So my first screenplay is called Cloud Wars. It's much more of a drama, personal story, with a lot of cathartic stuff that I got to get out of it. So then the second one I wrote is a super silly action comedy, because I love that myself growing up. And so those are the two I did. I've done that for the last maybe 8 months. And the first one, Cloud Wars, is nominated for a Screenwriter Award. And so if anything happens with that, I'll keep you guys posted. Also, real quick, I've got the sale going on right there. It's basically every lead guitar lesson for like $40, which helps keep the lights on here at Marty Music. It helps Matt support his 3 young children. Mm-hmm. It helps me pay for my daughter's expensive college and pay for food and stuff. Favorite Peter Tosh song? The Harder They Come, the Harder They Fall. Reese likes to write comedy too, yeah. And the coolest thing about writing is, for me, writing a screenplay or writing 2 screenplays is I am not trying to get a career in the movie industry. I'm not trying to even get the movies made. I did it for my own creative outlet, cathartic. The first screenplay had a lot of personal stuff in it that really helped me get some stuff out. And then because that was so personal, I was like, well, I love action comedies growing up. What's like a unique one from my voice, like music-based? You know, both screenplays I wrote are completely music-based. So that's like kind of where it was inspired. Matt is the main villain.
It works.
No, Matt would definitely not be the main villain. We've got other people in our life that could be the main villain. That we both know. That we both dealt with.
I was a roadie.
But Matt was a roadie. Okay, let me do one last jam. I appreciate you guys so much. Favorite chapter of the SRV, chapter 35. Kathy, thank you so much. Kathy is such a great supporter, and I've jammed with Kathy. Kathy and I have jammed live in New York City. Matt, you weren't there yet, were you?
No, I was there.
Oh, you were at that one? Okay. It's all a blur to me, you know. All right, one more jam for tradition. We didn't get any Josh Norco today. He probably gave up on these.
It's probably working. It's always working, it seems like.
It's good to have a job. I'm still trying to get one myself. Let's see. All right, we got it. I think I did it. Let me try that again. A little rusty. All I've been doing is writing screenplays, not playing guitar. Thanks again, you guys. Check out that course that's on sale till Monday. Every lead guitar lesson you could ever want for the rest of your life for $40. Check it out. Marty Music Mountain Retreat, September 9th in New York, Catskills, New York. MartyMusic.com. Tons of free courses over there too. If you've just been curious about the courses ever, you can get a bunch for free. And you definitely want my other resources, the Ultimate Guitar PDF. It's got all the chord and scale diagrams, arpeggios, triads, everything in there. And thank you for your continued support. Your super support. There we go.
See you guys.
He's real. So yeah, so he wouldn't be the villain. He'd be the man with the computer, right?
Yeah.
I'm logging you in. Make sure that did you break the code yet? Not yet. We're almost in. We're almost